This is a journey into sound.
So, greetings and felicitations, and welcome to everybody to Podcasty number 11. We're on, and we're still going. We will soon hit the teens, not far away. So we'll see how we're going. So, good morning to Alan, and hello to anybody who's out there and having this in the background, listening, watching it, well, hoovering or washing the dog or whatever you do while you have this nonsense on in the background. And you're probably sat there, bated breath for us to mention Star Wars or Alien.
Yeah. We're gonna go a whole episode without mentioning them.
Yeah.
Apart from just them. You have to forget that.
Yeah, Gary said
that. Men in Black.
Yeah. So I think we'll start off as we normally do, which is what we've been reading. And we've both been reading Man in High Castle, which we both read together, and we're going to do a bit of a talk about that later. But a spoiler, we both love it, and well, I love it because I read it ridiculous amounts of times. And I can even show you, this is the issue I read, because I've got about 5 different volumes of it. I read that one, the really boring one, in the end. And so we both read that, and it's a Philip K. Dick book, so it's all over the place. But I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, it definitely needs its own show. It needs its own.
Oh, yeah, it needs a
video for sure.
It's an absolute masterpiece. That's a spoiler for everybody. Then I read Shadow of a Dead God, which is a self-published book, which I don't normally go down that hole, by Patrick Samphire. It's a fantasy book. It's a book I picked up years ago on Kindle when my wife first got a Kindle and it was going cheap or something. And it's about a sort of magic user thing, and it's almost like a detective story. He gets conned into something and somebody kills, and he's, in some ways, it reminded me of a Stainless Steel Rat type character, because it's all in the first person like that, though he's not as clever as Jim DeGriz. I think there's 4 books in it, and I probably would have ended up reading it. It's got a little bit of the problem I find with modern fantasy is that they have this thing and sit down, and this is how magic works. And you think, well, I don't really care. Just put it there. And it's got it feels a bit modern-y, sort of, in the sort of language, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But it was a fun read. I read it in about 2 days. It was just a fun sort of roll-along read. And I said there's 3 to 4 other books in this. I think there's 4 in the other series. From what I can work out, he's from Wales, and he's done quite a few sort of YA books and bits like that. And worth read if you like that sort of thing. I think it was. But yeah, that was a bit of a weird one. I just wanted something sort of easy-ish to read, and I sort of was flicking down what I had and discovered that. Then I have been reading, which I've still not finished actually, The Rise and the Fall of the Dinosaurs, which is a non-fiction one by Steve Rosati, who's a paleontologist from Edinburgh. And it's just basically the history of dinosaurs and how they discovered them, and how he's sort of the generation that grew up when Jurassic Park first appeared. So it's sort of inspired in there, and it's quite interesting because he also talks a bit about the bit before dinosaurs appeared, because there was a big sort of cataclysm event that wiped out things, everybody, and how footprints, they found fossilized footprints in that. But it's really interesting, and it's a sort of thing that Fred would like, read by Fred, I think, because he likes a lot of sort of non-fiction like that.
He'd be all over that.
He'd be all over that. Also read a bunch of short fiction. I've not read huge amounts this month. A bunch of short fiction that I'm doing for certain things. And I read the whole, finally, comic-wise, of Doomsday Clock, which finally I've been...
I haven't read it. I own it, actually. It's still sealed in its cellophane. I need to get to it.
Yeah. Well,
Go on, sorry.
I brought it when it was released, so I brought the comics when they were released, because I got quite excited by it. But then I got less excited by it when they give you an issue and then they wouldn't do another issue for about 9 months. It was meant to be done in a year, and it took about 2.5 years for them to actually publish them all. Yeah, because I was originally reading it when it was going along, and then I sort of gave up. And I thought, I'll sit down and I'll actually read this. And I really liked it. Yeah, it's not as good as Watchmen. Nothing's going to be as good as Watchmen, but it's a nice addition to it. I'll probably... Alan Moore probably hates it because he hates everything.
I guarantee he does.
Yeah, but hey, yeah, it's fun and it's really quite interesting. It's worth a read. It doesn't take that long actually when you actually sit down and read it, because it's only 10 issues, I think, or 12. But yes, I thought I'd finally pick that up, because after this, I'm trying to get through a backlog of comics that I've got. I've got loads of sort of bits that I need to pick up on, and I sort of last year I didn't read much, so pick that one up, and that's really all I've been reading. I said loads of short stories. I've read tons. Partway through a Gordon Dixon one called Man from Earth is a collection which I went in search of, which is damn near impossible to find, because there's a story that won the Hugo in here, which I'm probably going to talk about at some point, which I cannot remember what's called. So I'm going to flip through the book. Call Him Lord, which I've never heard of, and that's really quite interesting. I'm not going to spoil that at the moment, and that's about it, really. That's all my reading. So over to you. What have you been reading?
Well, either side of Man in the High Castle, which, to be fair, is had a lot of my headspace recently. I've read a couple of thick books, so I haven't read lots of books. I've just read lots of pages. One of those is the 7th book in Malazan Book of the Fallen, because it's like almost 1,300 pages. It's Reaper's Gale I was reading, and the other side of it, I started reading Wastelands by Stephen King. Not as long. I think this is just under 600 pages, but between them, they've taken up basically a month alongside Man in the High Castle. So, yeah, that's what I've read recently. I would like to have been reading comics as well, but I've just not had the time. I think time's probably a big contributing factor for a lot of the topics on here today.
Yeah, I
just
know.
doing the best I can, you know.
Yeah, it's prolonging. Yeah, and what you can do, isn't it, really, and what you want to do, and what you have time to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've not watched, because I've just been on a sort of extended break from BookTube, so I've not actually watched that much recently. And today I'm recording. My plan is to record 3 videos this afternoon, as well as this one. Whether I do that is another matter, but let's see how we go. So I've not actually watched much. I did see that Roy. I've got 2 things from Roy that I noticed. Was Roy is doing a thing on Fingon's Wake, which I had a look at once in the book and thought, no, I'm not reading that.
Yeah, it's more of an exercise, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's when they're going if you look at some of the stuff, especially on his Discord, they're going, oh, we could do this chapter, but then we've got to do this bit by the chapter so we understand that chapter. And I thought, oh, good God, I don't want to get involved in that. So they're doing that. So if anybody's interested in that sort of thing. And also he's going through all of R.C. Clarke's 2001 series.
Okay,
2001,
interesting.
2010. Yeah. He's reading them. He did one on the comics the other day. He asked me whether I'd read them all, and I've only ever read 2001, and because I've got a bit of a weird relationship with R.C. Clarke. I think he's a great writer, but I don't like him. He's like, I can see how important he is, but I keep reading his books. I keep thinking I should like him, and I reread his books, and I think they're okay, but I just struggle with them, which is why I'm reading with Gavin this month Imperial Earth, which is another R.C. Clarke one, because he's determined to make me like R.C. Clarke.
We'll see if he's successful or not, I suppose.
But he's one of these people that you can see how important and how good he is, but I don't seem to get on with him. Because my other one is Ursula Le Guin, who I think everybody loves, and I think, yes, he's really good, and I understand everything, but I just don't get on with the books.
Yeah. Is it like the reading experience isn't what you're looking for?
Yeah, it's just like, I've got quite a few. I've got a few of her books. I actually picked up one a while ago, actually, thinking I'll give that one a go, because it was one of the science fiction ones I didn't know. But yeah, I think everybody's got authors like that. You think, oh, they're good authors, but I just don't get on with them.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that about Tolkien before, saying, yeah, I understand this is good and this is important, but this doesn't do it for me. I totally get it while people do that. So I assume, as you've been short on time, that you've not seen much going around.
So other than obviously trying to watch a few videos from friends, yourself and Cliff and Roy, which I've just been, I'm going to be honest, I've just been hitting your main kind of catch-up videos, pick and mix and stuff like that. Monthly wrap-ups the guys have been doing. The only 2 things I can speak about of note, I just wanted to put a spotlight, not that it probably needs it, on Media Death Cult's coverage of androids and Blade Runner and the combined universe stuff. Quite interesting videos, if anyone's interested. And Benjamin's Book Club, which is quite a popular channel that started about a year ago. He's just started Wheel of Time for the first time, and he's done a couple of really funny videos on the first couple of books. So yeah, I mean, the danger is if you watch those videos, it will make you want to read Wheel of Time, which very few people have time to do. So be careful. There's a spoiler warning there.
Yeah, I was thinking, do I start the second book this year? I probably will.
Yeah, I would say it's worth it because it's even though the first book's entertaining, it's a much more entertaining book, and it's much shorter. It's only about, I say only, but it's only about 670 pages, which for a Wheel of Time book is very, very short. So yeah, it is. I definitely recommend everyone at least finish the second book before they make a judgment on the series.
Yeah, I discovered yesterday actually was you know Mary Gentleman. Do you know her? She's a British author. Did Golden Witch Breed, which is a stunning book.
I haven't heard of that.
Which is about a envoy to a planet, and it's very archaic in the way it does it. But she did a book called Ash, apparently, which they say is the longest single fantasy book ever. I don't know how many pages it's meant to be. 2 seconds, quick look. Probably can find out.
I'm assuming it's at least 1,400.
Yeah. She also did a book which I've not read, which I was on my list to read, called Grunts. She was done in '94, which is like a sort of satire of all fantasy things. You've got a thing of it follows all these bunch of orcs, and you've got racist elves and things like this in it. And apparently, that's quite fun. It's called Ash: A Secret History. Actually, it's historical fantasy. Page count on it. Does Wikipedia give page counts?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Set in the late Middle Ages.
Should be near the top where the information is. Yeah, there's a lot of big books I would like to read. I keep looking at is it Clarissa, which is about 1,550 pages or something.
Yeah.
But I haven't read Les Mis yet, so I should get to that first. That's about 1,400 pages as well.
And searches for things on the internet. They're only saying 1,100 pages. So
yeah, I don't think that's going to qualify. I've probably read 10 fantasy books this year.
Maybe it was just. I was going to say at the time, but Lord of the Rings together is probably more than that. But maybe it's because it's a single fantasy. So yes, whoever said that was wrong by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
anyway, sounds quite interesting.
Wow,
yeah, if anybody's never read Golden Witch Breed, go look it out. It's really, really good. Ancient Light, I think, is a sequel to it. I've not read it for years, so I'm probably saying that, and I'll probably go back to it and think, no, it's not as good as I remember it being. But yes, where were we? We were on YouTube stuff.
We just wrapped up YouTube.
Yeah. Watch-wise, I watched loads of quite a bit of stuff to come back.
Yeah, I saw that. You had quite a bit on that list.
Yeah, it's just that I said my wife's been quite ill and sleeping a lot, so in between the other stuff, I sort of think, find something. I'm going too mad. We started watching Daredevil together. Actually, have you started that?
No, because effectively, my wife and eldest daughter they didn't watch it when it came out. They were watching other Marvel shows, so they want to catch up before I start the new series.
Okay, well, all I will say is there's some really janky CGI at the beginning. Really, really janky.
Oh no! Wait, what are we talking here? Is this like
he's jumping buildings, and it reminds me of probably the first Spider-Man film when he was jumping buildings.
Yeah. Now that first Spider-Man movie, that bit where he jumps across and he's made of like Play-Doh or something. That I've gone sideways. This is all planned. Don't worry. That scene, I think, is better CGI than in the new Flash movie that they brought out. That has some insanely bad CGI.
Oh, I have seen the Flash.
The fully CGI'd Ben Affleck in that is horrific, and the CGI babies are nightmare fuel as well.
But yes, I watched it. The only thing I will say about it is I do not think it's as good as the original Netflix ones. I think there's a slightly different production team. I think the pacing is horrible, but there's some good stuff in there. Fight scenes, I don't think the choreography is as good, but it's different. They've obviously got different. They've still got the great bits in the choreography, which I love, which is when somebody goes to hit him and he moves out the way and he's not looking at them. So they've got the idea that he's blind, so he wouldn't be looking at it and stuff like that. And so they've still managed to catch that sort of thing on it. But they sort of, if you've ever read what it's supposedly based on, which is Born Again, they've sort of taken quite a huge amount of liberties with that, and which they normally do anyway. So you've got a character in there called Muse, who was actually from Daredevil in the mid 2014-ish, that they've now put into this to Born Again. They got the main themes of it. And Vincent D'Onofrio is always is stunning in it. And you're still sideways.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do on my end to turn me around. I've just tried.
Yeah. Anyway, I might see I'll see if I can fix it in post. See if I can do something with you.
See what happens.
I see what happens. But yes. So, but yeah, it's good. But I think the pacing is horrible, and I do not think it's as good as that. But when I get to the final 3 episodes, because we're totally up to date, and we're going to wait for the final 3 to drop, and then we watch all 3 of them, I might come back and say, no, it's actually finished off. That it's ended up being better than all of them.
Yeah, you've got to reserve judgment of these things, because
I
remember when I first started The Last Kingdom, I thought, oh, this doesn't feel as good as everyone keeps saying it is. But then most of that first season is a bit rough, and then it becomes great.
Second and third seasons are great.
Yeah, and then the same with Watchmen. I thought Watchmen, it took a while.
Yeah,
it wasn't until you started seeing, like Ozymandias's, storyline and stuff like that. It started to build, and you get an idea of what's actually happening. So yeah, I think some of these series, a few episodes in, can be a bit, a bit rough.
And Marvel released the cast of Avengers Doomsday in the most irritating way they possibly could.
I haven't watched it, so I don't even know who
they basically had a line of seats with people's names on the back that they.
I saw the thumbnail. I haven't seen it.
It went on for 5.5 hours. This thing. Yes, it did.
No, I don't believe you.
It did. You go find the video. It's 5.5.
Oh, I can't watch that. I can't justify 5.5.
Luckily, people at the bottom have put down what they've seen. Somebody. I watched a little bit of it, and you go along, and then you get Paul Rudd's seat, which is really small. Right, man, which I quite liked, but and then at the end you get Robert Downey Jr. comes in and sits down and just because obviously he's played Dr. Doom in it. But I'm a little confused by it. They've got Patrick Stewart was listed in there, as is obviously he's going to play Professor X. So a load of the X-Men people in there, and I would have thought James McAvoy would have been better to put in there. I'm sorry, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, you would think so.
Sorry, I don't know how old he is now, but he's very old now. And you would have thought, as the timelines go, surely it would make sense to do McAvoy in there and Fassbender as well.
Yeah. Have you seen the Agatha All Along series?
No, that's one we've not actually got onto yet. Because
though I don't think it's one of the better series they've released, I'm about 1 episode from finishing up with my kids. It does ask some interesting questions around the continuity surrounding Wanda and obviously her children. And what's interesting around that is obviously, if you know the comics, they're obviously folding Magneto back into the universe. Obviously, they're the children of Magneto, aren't they? So
yes,
it raises some interesting questions, because they brought back Quicksilver, his original character, but exactly, from the Fox universe into that series, and it starts. You start thinking, wait a second, are they going to be able to, kind of retroactively refit this stuff
I think that the actual Marvel universe is in the same mess that the comics are in. That nobody knows what the hell continuity is now.
I would put it closer to 90s DC universe, maybe.
Oh my god!
I think it's in that kind of confusing. Like you could unpick it if you have 1,000 hours. Maybe you're writing a thesis, or you're gonna have 100 episodes of a podcast to run or something. It can be unpicked somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, because some of the people they reviewed, the other one they had, they've not said any of their names, but they had Ethan Hawke down, so I assume he's going to play Gambit because he was in obviously Deadpool and Wolverine as Gambit, and you can understand the bloody word he was saying. But I'm quite disappointed because I like Taylor Kitsch, who was in the original Wolverine Origins. Was it Wolverine Origins? One of the Wolverine films as Gambit, and I thought he was really good as Gambit in that. But yes, they released all these things, and they got loads of the X-Men people in there, and they've also got the people, Red Guardian in there, and it's just basically everybody they can throw at it, I think, really.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is it's like this big event film, and it just doesn't feel like, at least for Avengers Infinity War, we felt like there was a proper build-up to it. Whereas this one, I don't think at the moment, it's all been messy and going up to it. Oh, they got the guy playing Shang-Chi in there, which was one of the new ones that I really did like.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but yeah, that was it. But yes, they couldn't have done anything more irritating or anything than that. It was just, but 5.5 hours, ridiculous. What else I watched? The Wild Robot we watched, which I absolutely adored.
Oh, good. It's good, is it?
It is great. It's a really great film. It makes you feel really nice and warm inside, and great voice actors. You've got Mark Hamill in there. You've got quite a few other people, but yeah, it's just a really, really good. It's probably the best Pixar movie made by Dreamscape in the past 10 years. It's what Disney should be doing with their animations, rather than just keep redoing live actions of all their old films as they seem to be doing at the moment.
The issue they had with those live actions is they had a couple of decent ones to start. Like the Kenneth Branagh Cinderella was really well done.
That was really good, actually.
And he does good adaptations, especially when he kind of gives everything like a theatre style feel. But the thing is, if you take it away from people like that know what they're doing and have the craft,
I quite like the Aladdin.
Aladdin was fine.
Yeah, but it's just like, so you sometimes watch them and you think, why did you bother with this? I know they got Lilo and Stitch, and Rosie, my wife, loves Lilo and Stitch, and she's going, I'm not sure I want to watch this. It's a bit like me with Gladiator 2. I don't really want to watch it.
I still haven't watched it.
No, I saw a bit of it. If you watch, do you ever see Corridor Crew on YouTube? Who break down special effects?
No.
It's quite interesting.
No, that's the kind of thing I will never ever be able to watch. I cannot do it because once you see things, you can't unsee them.
Yeah.
You know.
Sometimes when they do certain things, I refuse to watch it. But they show how there's and they showed the scene in the arena there, and they've got these baboons there, and they were saying how well it's done, and I just thought, no, these baboons look just crap. They just look totally unrealistic, and I just sort of think, how do you follow up the other film as well? It's one of these films I thought, I don't know whether I'll ever watch it.
It's not a film that needed a sequel, is it?
Yeah. And after Wild Robot, we watched Venom: The Last Dance finally, which I enjoyed. It's not as good as the other ones, but I like Venom. And they seem to have forgot what happened at the end of the second film because they wanted to tell a different story or something. But it was fun and didn't blow me away. But it was fun.
Are they trying to do like that Agent Venom storyline with this one? Are they like trying to recruit him to do government work or something? Oh, no, it's not. Okay, cool.
No,
because the trailer, I found the trailer confusing. So
yeah, the film's a bit confusing. If you didn't like, I liked the first one and I like the second one. But the second one gets a bit messy at the end. The first one was just a bit of a surprise, I think. And I think if Tom Hardy wasn't there, it wouldn't have worked because Tom Hardy's just excellent when he's talking to himself and having fights with himself.
Yeah, he comes across as a crazy person quite well, and Woody Harrelson, I suppose, in the second one. They both come across as quite crazy, don't they? So
that worked quite well. Then I watched Electric State on Netflix, which is getting bombed everywhere.
I haven't heard of that. No.
Which is us. It's this film cost 350 million or something.
Wow.
Had a short theatre release. Netflix paid for it. It's got Chris Pratt, Millie Bobby Brown in there playing somebody who's meant to be about 13, but she's about 20 and doesn't quite work. Loads of people names in there. Stanley Tucci's in there. Loads of names. Must cost an absolute fortune. Looks lovely, but it just doesn't work. It's
Chris Pratt and Stanley Tucci must be two of the most cast men in like modern movies, you know, like TV and everything. They just get everywhere, don't they?
Yeah.
Their agents are earning their money.
Yeah. And I'm gonna hold my hands up for a really random Liam Neeson film we discovered called In the Land of Saints and Sinners, and it was a good film, and it was different. It wasn't just Liam Neeson punching and shooting people, and it's
why they decided he needs to punch and shoot people all the time. I don't understand.
It's Taken is the because he took Taken thinking that was going to be his only chance ever to do an action film, and since then that's all he's been doing. He's done the odd film in between. But this one is set in Ireland in the mid-70s, so you've got all the IRA and stuff going around. Some IRA bombers blow up a shop and kill a child. Then they go across border into Ireland. And Liam Neeson's basically does jobs for the local mafia-type person there, who's Cole Meany from Deep Space Nine, Miles O'Brien. Does jobs for them, basically goes and executes people and takes them to the thing and there, but he has nothing to do with it. But the IRA go and hide in this village, and it all kicks off from there. But it's just quite well done. It's actually really surprised me because I thought it was just going to be another throwaway Liam Neeson film. So it was quite surprising. Because every now and then, I think he's a bit like when Bruce Willis was doing all those films towards the end of his sort of before he retired over illness. Every now and then, you get a really good one. Just sort of.
I mean, that's the thing when you're just throwing stuff against the wall. Some of it's going to stick. Bruce Willis was in Marvelous Brooklyn, which is like an amazing movie. But either side of it, he was making all sorts of nonsense.
But yeah, so that was it. And I've also started to rewatch The Tick from the 1990s cartoon. And if anybody's never watched it, you need to watch it. It's fantastic. When you've got what's he called? Oh, the Blowfish Avenger. This guy just sort of blows up into looks like a blowfish. And you have the human bullet, and they were going to save this dam from being blown up. And they shot this human bullet, got shot out this cannon, and they go through all the like 10, 15 minutes worth of stuff to the end of the program, and they stop this damn thing, and then the human bullet just goes plop. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And then I remember it being quite a funny show, but it was very tongue-in-cheek, wasn't it? It was like
and then you get totally covered in carpet, man. Yeah. Who I've always liked. Who goes around giving people static electric shocks and things like this. But yeah, no. But the live action ones have been pretty good as well. But yeah, I'll just start rewatching that and that's it. So it does sound like I have watched quite a bit actually.
Yeah, I think
it's been about 6 weeks. So have you seen anything at all? Or have you just been working?
Well, we went to see Captain America: Brave New World, which I thought was decent. Of all the Captain America movies, it's probably the weakest, but it was better than a fair few of the more recent Marvel movies, I think. It didn't wrap up the way would have liked it to, but it is what it is. I finished watching the Walking Dead Daryl Dixon show, which again is probably the weakest of all of the Walking Dead stuff that I've seen so far. Yeah, it is what it is. It allows me to get on to the next one. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of The Rings of Power season 2. And the first episode of season 2, I quite enjoyed.
Season 2, I quite enjoyed it. I've not got the hatred that other people seem to have for it because I've just partitioned in my brain that it's really got nothing to do with Lord of the Rings and just go with it. And that's why I partitioned in it. And season 2, I think they did a pretty good job.
Season 1, it suffers massively. I've done it. I've gone and done it. I can't not say it now. I'm sorry. We almost made it for an episode. but it suffers with a lot of like the Phantom Menace, basically, where it feels like season 1, a lot of the series was one take. It feels like a lot of it was one take. When a line wasn't delivered properly or wasn't delivered effectively, the director, I don't think, directed a lot of the acting in that first season, and a lot of it needed, a lot of those needed more takes, and the actors needed more time with the lines, and it's a shame because it feels like they know that's happened in the first season. They've tried to address it in the second season, but you can't unwatch the first season. So
and I think they've technically commissioned it for 6 seasons. Whether it gets to 6 is another matter totally. Because that's my thing with the Wheel of Time series, which I've not obviously started season 3 yet, is are they ever going to get to the end of the books? Because they're going to keep going.
They are. I have noticed they're going through the books at a rapid pace, and it's out of timeline order a little bit as well, which makes it difficult if you've read the books, because you think like, oh, I think we're at like book 3 at the moment, but actually there's parts of book 5 in here, and but it seems like in the first 3 seasons they're covering the majority of the first 5 books. I think they can wrap it up in less than 10 seasons, maybe in 8, maybe in 7. It depends how fast they want to keep going, but they are covering a lot very, very quickly. And I don't think it's necessarily doing the source material justice, but they are covering a lot of source material very, very quickly. There's a lot of, stuff that they're just, it just seems like too fast. It just seems very, very fast, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and also they limit the amount of episodes with these shows that they make, which is the other sort of problem. They don't give them time to breathe or anything like that. So everything's got to be fitted into now 8 to 10 episodes, whereas a few years back it would have been sort of
22 to 24.
20, which is, and I say, because I'm still watching. We're still slowly working our way through Elementary, and that's what I'm loving about it. The fact that it's 23, 24 episodes per season, and we're on season 6 at the moment, and we just every now and then watch an episode, and it's just good.
I think that kind of series, though, it can do that because it's like it at least begins as a procedural show.
Yeah,
and if you begin as a procedural show, then you can.
I miss episodic television, proper as much as stuff would link them up, that they'd have separate stories in each one, and I do miss that quite a bit, because nobody seems to make that sort of stuff anymore.
They don't make it well anymore, at least.
Because that was I don't know what else I was going to say about that. My other bugbear about the new series is the amount of bloody crap at the end titles. Watching Daredevil the other day, it started off, the first couple of episodes were about an hour long, and then they cut them down to about 45 minutes an episode, which means, traditionally, with TV adverts and stuff, that's probably how long they would have been anyway. But there's like 10 minutes worth of end titles on them. And you just think, this is ridiculous. Why is there that much at the end of it? There's not more people doing this than anything else, but I just don't get it at all. I really don't.
I think
so. So that's my roundup of stuff. I think that I can think of. That's what I was going to say. All this stuff about AI recently, AI in publishing, and the other day I am learning Scots Gaelic at the moment. I don't know why, I just decided to. Okay. And I even have this is a science fiction Scots Gaelic book, which I can't read yet, by the way. But this short one is about somebody, survivor of a dying Earth, searching something else. I expect to hold every cliche possible, but my ambition is to hopefully be able to read this by the back end of the year.
That's good. Old, at least.
Or at least read it to understand it. But there's a hard science fiction book that's an author did, the only hard science fiction one ever, and it's just been released in Scots Gaelic, and it's Tim Robinson's name is, it's called On a Glittering Sea, I think, and I can't pronounce the Gaelic one of it. but I was searching for some information about it the other day, and Google, in its wonderfulness, has now decided to put this AI thing at the top of it. And at the top of it, it decided to put suggestions for a story. Okay. And it has got so much. It's picked up on some weird things. So it's obviously because I was looking for a science fiction story. So what you got to remember is I live in Orkney, and Orkney is, I'm learning Gaelic, but this is not a Gaelic area. It's all down the west coast of Scotland. Here we were invaded by Vikings. Most of the names are Norse derived and stuff like that. So there is not a tradition of speaking Scots Gaelic here, even on to sort of Caithness and places like that. So what this AI did is it put this suggestion of the story up, and it starts off with, obviously it found from my search, it knew where I lived because they're tracking us all the bloody time. So it's got, in 2025, Orkney remote island chain in Scotland, a team of researchers led by Dr. Anna MacLeod. MacLeod's a very sort of West Coast Scottish name. A brilliant but unconventional astrophysicist is tasked with developing a temporal anchor. And they go on about this idea for this time travel thing. And then they got Gaelic connections. And they got names, characters, places, and even scientific terms given to Gaelic names to have Gaelic roots, adding a layer of cultural authenticity. And I was thinking, no, it wouldn't, because it would be totally out of place, because this doesn't happen here. There's no Gaelic names here. It's going all along here. And I'm just thinking, so it's got that totally wrong. It's picked up on the word Gaelic science fiction and worked out where I lived, and then it's churned this thing out here, even though I didn't ask it to, without any context and knowing any history at all. And you just think, that is so dangerous. It is just so dangerous.
It's shocking, isn't it, AI? I don't really want to think about it.
I think, I hate calling it AI because it's not AI, it's just machine learning. But I think in the right places, machine learning, like they use it for breast scans, for mammograms, to try and detect, because it's quite difficult to detect all the tiny cells in them. And they've been using it to teaching them to actually read those, and they've actually managed to increase some of the pickups of cancers and things. I think it's used in the right place somewhere, but it's the fact they're just chucking at everything willy-nilly, just hoping it's all going to stick.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in sort of the artistic fields, things like, as I said, writing and art, and it's just like, oh dear, just like, what are you doing, people?
It's horrible, isn't
it? But what was quite interesting is, because I've gone on to that, and I was looking for something else on YouTube, and I can't remember her name. There's this YouTuber talking about Rebecca Orr does the Fourth Wing book.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's like sort of romantic thing with dragons. Yeah. Apparently, she just released her final book, and then she done about 25 different special editions. So she's released, every shop has got a different edition of it or something. I know they're very, very popular, but apparently she's used a load of Gaelic names and for these dragons, but she's got no context about them or where they've come from. And somebody at a Comic-Con asked her about them and how to pronounce them and stuff like that. And this is video of her talking about it. And then she turns around and she goes, oh, the Gaelic names. And you think, no, Gaelic is Irish.
Yeah.
It is. So you don't even know which language you're actually taking from willy-nilly. Yeah. And it's just like, oh. And you think an author of that statute must have editors and probably researchers even looking at stuff, and nobody's picked up on the fact that she's using these names and she's using them wrong, and things like that just annoyed me. Yeah, nothing me getting annoyed about weird things that nobody else ever does.
I was going to say, I'm sure you won't be reading the Fourth Wing books, so.
No, I won't. It's they're very popular. They're obviously selling somewhere.
Crazy popular.
It's like the Sarah J. Maas books. It's like, I have no interest in reading them at all, but she's obviously doing something right because people are reading them.
Yeah, they certainly are.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's about all I've got to talk about, I think. Unless you can think of anything. This could be a shorter episode. We could be getting under the hour mark for a change.
What's coming up on your channel?
Oh, well, coming up on my channel. I forgot about that. I said, because I've had a bit of a rest for a couple of weeks. I'm doing a bit of almost a reset. I've got some stuff left over from Filmtastic February that I was putting pressure on myself to finish. And I still want to finish it, but I wasn't doing anything else because I was putting pressure on my brain to finish those first. So I'm going to, I said, I'm doing a little video this afternoon explaining that, and I'm just going to do those through the year, and I'm just going to carry on with some normal stuff. So I picked up a weird tag from Gavin. I'm going to record this afternoon, and I've got one on when Robert Heinlein sued Marvel, which I'm going to do a little video, and finally my one on the Warriors is going to be out in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But yeah, I've just done a little bit of almost a reset, and I'm just going to sort of work through some stuff. A bit on that short story I was on about, the Gordon Dixon one as well. I'm going to continue doing a load of stuff on short stories. That's it. I haven't got anything. I've got a few things bubbling away in the background, but I'm just going to make sure that I can get the stuff for them in a bit. But I'm going to try to do lots of more quick videos. I'm trying to keep my editing down to a minimum if I can for the moment. Because my brain's not there. There's too much going on in real life and stuff at the moment, so it's all. If I can keep that stuff down to a minimum, and I just want to, when I'm making the videos, I just want to escape a bit. And like I've been streamlining all my internet usage, and I've got it so that basically I don't see half the stuff I don't want to see because I'm fed up with waiting for Donald Trump to announce that Hunger Games is a real thing and things like this. Yeah, watching America turn into some weird dystopia. I'm just fed up with that.
I don't know what is going on. Yeah,
it's
worrying is all it is.
Yeah, it's worrying, but there's nothing I can do about it. So let's just avoid that for the moment, and just escape into my stuff. So yeah, that's it. So have you got much coming up on yours?
Not really. I've extended my release schedule because I've just got so little time. So instead of releasing a video every third or fourth day, I'm now every fifth or sixth day, just to give myself more time to work and be a dad. So yeah, I've got a couple of videos coming up. I'm going to try and do a sci-fi video, covering some of my favorite sci-fi reads recently. Maybe even do a top 10 or something like that. I'm not sure yet, because I've read a few good sci-fi novels recently. I just want a chance to talk about them again.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's April, so I'm going to read Agatha Christie, Agatha in April.
Yeah.
I think the Big Four next. I think it's the fifth Poirot novel. Really is. It's something I like to do because of the time of year and the way the novels are written, but also obviously Alice from Alice in the Giant Bookshelf obviously passed away, and that's something she always championed and was basically, she was the reason I started reading Poirot novels in the first place, really, when she first started her channel. So so I'm going to read one of those in remembrance, really, more than anything. So those will be coming up, and then obviously I'll chat with Man in High Castle. So that'll be the other thing that I'm involved in, and that's probably about it, because I say schedule's been cranked down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm going to do a bit on Imperial Earth as well. I'll be doing some stuff. I might do some stuff as I'm reading it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It all depends. It all depends what I'm doing. Oh yes, I did find some weird Philip K. Dick videos as well about him talking about Man in High Castle, which I must dig out.
I bet that's interesting. I wonder if he remembers everything he wrote.
Yeah, I've also got a book. I've actually got I suppose it's almost a biography written by his wife, one of his wives, Tessa Dick, who was the longest running one of his wives. I've got quite a collection. I've just realised now I've got quite a huge collection of books on Philip K. Dick that he didn't write, that are about him. I might have to do a little thing on that, but yeah, I discovered that one. I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And actually, the other thing that I might be doing, but I'm going to need to put about, is a bit on children's books. I've got a bunch of books that I read as a kid, and
Mm.
in some ways I want to reread them, and they'd be really, hopefully, easy reading. But I quite like reading them as an adult because you just think, do they stack up, and would I let my kids read these?
Yeah.
And that was it. I think I've got the book there. No, I haven't. I've got this book. And the 1980, I can't remember what the hell it's called. And the first page of it is literally a racial slur, and it's like, it's 1980.
Oh, no.
And it's like, but
Oh, no.
and I'm just thinking, is the rest of the book going to be like that? I haven't read it. I haven't read the book yet, but I'm just hoping there's some context to it, because it's like, cool, that was a bit of a shock. And the first page is when I looked at it. But yes, that's basically my stuff. I'm rambling now, coming up, and I've got a few bits coming up on my blog that I'm writing, which I'm just trying to be writing. I had a bit about, I did a bit that wrote a bit the other day about algorithms, basically dealing out stuff, because my campaign to de-stress my internet usage, basically, the way I've cut down, and even managed to do it so my YouTube now comes up with a blank page, which looks like a Google search, but which is quite good. So then I can just go into my subscriptions and stuff. Yeah. Then you can just search for what you want. You can still find good book content that way. But yes, it's just a bit about algorithms, because I think algorithms they can be useful because they can deal up stuff that you miss, but they start dealing up the same sort of things. So you end up in this little sphere of, not like, even things like, if you look on and any sort of I'm trying to think. God, what's the book thing that we hate? Everybody, we log our books on.
Goodreads.
Goodreads. Sorry, I couldn't remember its name. Even if you look at the suggestions they put on the algorithms they use there, it's just the same sort of stuff. It never does anything really sort of.
No, I think all algorithms get caught in a loop in the end. They're self-perpetuating, aren't they? So.
Yeah, which is why in some ways. But then the best way to get suggestions, I think, is off people. But then you need to go vary people, which is why I try to follow a lot of varied booktubers. I don't just follow science fiction and fantasy ones, and I don't just read science fiction and fantasy. I think that's why there's a little corner of booktube that's the fantasy one, that they all seem to review and talk about the same books, which is fine if they like those books.
Yeah, unfortunately, fantasy booktube is very insular like that.
Very insular.
Yeah, and it's trouble.
And it's sort of, a lot of it's only books from the past 10, 15 years. And you think, just push those boundaries a little bit. Just whack a bit of historical fiction in there or something like that. But yeah, that's my
rant over.
That's my little rumble over about stuff.
We have to get one of those in every month.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, I'm all done with my stuff before I start going on about something else. I don't know. Got anything left to say?
No, I think I've covered everything.
Yeah.
What little I
have. So anyway, goodbye for us, and we will be back in a few weeks' time, but we will also keep an eye out for the Man in the High Castle talk that we're going to have, which could be deep and could be confusing, because that's what the book
definitely
is.
Confusing. Deep, maybe. Depends.
Yeah. So bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.